So, Be'ezrat Hashem, Parashat Emor. So there's a subject returning in this parasha 2-3 times, and for sure when something repeats itself, it's something that we have to pay attention to, and the Torah is trying to draw our attention to this thing. It starts with the laws of Kohanim. Emor lo Kohanim v'amart aleinu. We see already the Kohanim have a different level than Am Yisrael, right? They were chosen by Hashem, right? And they're closer to Hashem. The tribe is the tribe of Levi, but they came out to be Kohanim. They're on a higher level than Levi. Levi does certain things in Bet HaMikdash, but the Kohanim have the higher functions. So basically what they are like the guardians of the Bet HaMikdash. They are the ones coming to Bet HaMikdash. No one else can interfere with them. No one else can go into their work. Even between them, between the family itself, Levi and Kohen, it says that the Levi that was in charge of Ni'ilat HaSharim, closing the gates in Bet HaMikdash, if he goes, Matchil Ashir, and he goes to singing, right? The Kohanim al Duchanam, they sing also, right? Chayav Mita. He cannot, even the Levim, in between themselves, they cannot switch their function. Kal v'chomer, a Levi cannot cross the line, which is Azarat Israel, and go over the line over there, and go to next to the Mizbeach and to start slaughter the animal, bring the blood on the Mizbeach. They cannot do that. So basically the Kohanim are in a certain way on a higher level than the rest of Am Yisrael. But because they are in such a level, the Torah, this week's parasha, asks from them more. Emor el HaKohanim v'amart aleim, which means what? Rashi says, Emor ve'amarta. It's like a double lashon. Emor ve'amarta. Le'azir gedolim ala ketanim. Which means they have to pay attention to their little kids, the Kohen, right? Their little kids should not make mistakes. And what are we speaking with little kids? Ben yom echad, 1 day old. Which means, I'll give you an example. There's many examples, but I'll give you one example. A Kohen wife is pregnant. She goes to a checkup by the doctor. He tells her go to make an ultrasound. She goes to the ultrasound, okay? And they tell her, everything Baruch Hashem is okay, the baby is fine, the size is good, everything looks healthy. Would you like to know, please, what you have? Baby boy, baby girl, right? Now, if it will be a different lady, not Kohen, right? It's no Isur, but it's better not to. Why? Because they say, Tamim tiyeh im Adonai Elohecha. Tamim, which means, imagine yourself, you're waiting, you want a boy. And the ultrasound tells you it's a girl. So for 9 months, she's going to carry something. Why it's not a boy? You know, why have this thing? Tamim tiyeh. What comes, right? If she wants to know, and Isur and Avon. But by a Kohenet, right, there's a different level. Why it's a different level? Now that she knows she has a baby boy, if they tell her you have a boy, Baruch Hashem, what a simcha. Now, because you have this knowledge now, you have a problem. What's the problem? The problem is you cannot go into a hospital where the majority of the people are Jewish. For example, if you have a Jewish hospital, like let's say in Canada, they have an hospital called the Jewish Hospital. Built by Jews, owned by Jews, and I would say 80% of the patients are Jews, right? This lady cannot go now give birth in this hospital. Why? Because in the hospital,
Cannot do what?
Cannot give birth. She cannot be giving birth in this hospital. Why? Because since the majority is Jews, if in the moment she gives birth to this Kohen baby and somebody dies, he becomes impure. He cannot. Yes, morgue. There's a lot of things, right? So the fact that she knows she has a baby boy, she has the responsibility not to go. She would have to find a hospital where the majority of the patients are goyim, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Gemara Bamitzia, "Atem kruim adam, ve'en umot ha'olam kruim adam," which means you impurify in the cemetery, but the goyim do not impurify, right? So it's a responsibility. What do you see? From day one, the baby just came out. He becomes already tameh, and the mother had the responsibility not to bring him into the situation. Now, if she doesn't ask, and she goes, now it's a 50% chance to have a baby boy, 50% chance to have a baby girl. When she gives birth, and it's a baby boy, they're not going to kick her out of the hospital. Oh, it's a Kohen, out. Once you're there, it's pikuach nefesh, so you stay there. You understand? But your responsibility was not to ask. Because if you ask and you go to such a place, you have a responsibility to take care of this kid. Right? So to tell you, the Kedusha, Emor el HaKohanim, Rashi says, Le'azir gedolim ala ketanim, ketanim, day one. Day one. Why? Because they're very close to the king. Melech Malchem Lechem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He chose them. He chose this tribe called Kohanim, and because they're so close to him, they have to watch out what they do. And then, the second part of this continues, right, with a girl born into this mishpacha, into this family. Ubat ish kohen, ki tachel liznot et avia imechalel. If a girl of the Kohanim, she doesn't conduct herself in the right way, and she commits adultery, for example, she's engaged to somebody, right? She's not married, she's engaged to somebody, and she goes now with another man, et avia imechalelet, ba'esh tisaref. Says Rav Dessler, what do you mean ba'esh tisaref? If a Israelite, a regular girl, right, commits adultery, which is cheating on the fiancé, right? She goes with another man. Fiancé doesn't mean the fiancé today. Fiancé at that time means giving a ring. She's almost married to him, right? If she cheats on the fiancé, what's the punishment according to the Torah? Sekila or chenek. A lady, isha nesuah, a lady is married, chenek, right? Over here he gives srefa. Why are you so strict about her? The Torah says, you know why? Et avia imechalelet. It's not anymore an individual sin. They're not individual. A lady married, she takes responsibility for her actions, right? But now you're causing your father that people are going to speak bad about him. So people are going to come to Bet HaMikdash. Oh, you know who served me today? This Kohen, but his daughter was, she's going out with a man and she's a fiancé, she's engaged. People are going to speak about this Kohen, but this Kohen is one of the guards of the king in the Bet HaMikdash. She's causing her own father to be spoken bad about, right? That's why they say, the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, says, that's why Yehuda, he condemned Tamar l'srefa. When they found out she's pregnant, Tamar was Shomeret Yabam, which means she was married to Er, he died. She married to Onan, right? He died, right? So then she wanted Shelah, the third one. And Yehuda says, whoa, she was married to two boys. I'm scared, right? So he didn't give her to Shelah. Then he finds out, she committed adultery. She's pregnant. How is she pregnant? She was not with Shelah. So how is she pregnant? What's Yehuda? What does he condemn her to death? Otziua v'tisaref. They say, why v'tisaref, says the Rosh. How did he get to this punishment for her? He says, why? Because Tamar was the granddaughter of Shem. Shem, the son of Noach, was a Kohen, and she was his granddaughter. Tamar was the granddaughter of Shem. He applied, says the Rosh, she applied the law of the Torah. Ubat ish Kohen. She comes from a lineage of Kohanim. Tichel is not. Et avia mechalelet, says Yehuda, otziua v'tisaref. Why? She was mechalel the kedusha of Shem, right? Shem, right, which is also grandfather of Avraham Avinu, so she had to be burnt. So to tell you, the Kohanim, because of the higher level, this is the higher responsibility you have, right? So you cannot go to a cemetery to be impure, right? You cannot do certain things. Even who is the highest level in the Kohanim? The highest? Kohen Gadol. The big priest, right? What the Torah says this week? His father or mother dies, he cannot go to the Levaya. Min hamikdash lo yetzeh velo yechalel et Shem Elohav. He cannot go out of the temple. What do you mean? His father died. Lo yetzeh. He cannot go out. His mother maybe died. Lo yetzeh. He is so close to the king. Yeah. No, not even lo yitameh. He cannot even go at the end of the street. Just follow the Aaron. The Aaron is in the end of the street. The Aaron is over there. He's going to be at the end just to watch. לא יצא מן המקדש. cannot go out from בית המקדש. יש גם, he has restrictions. He's going to be מתאבל. But the thing is, he has to cut his hair. Normally, Avel cannot cut his hair for 30 days. He must cut his hair, right? The Gemara says, Kohen Gadol cuts his hair every day.
If he's Nazir,
every day, no? Every day, Kohen Gadol, right.
If he's Nazir, so if Kohen Gadol is Nazir. So you cannot cut his hair?
Kohen Gadol to be Nazir, it's a little bit difficult situation. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
שמשון, זה לא שמשון לא מגלח.
Exactly. But a Kohanim usually wouldn't take upon themselves Nazir because they have to drink wine, they have to eat meat. But to tell you, look at so much Kedusha to Kohen Gadol, his father or his mother Chazon die, Min HaMikdash lo yetze. Why? Because he's so close to the king, you have to show that nothing is important in the world besides the king. Melech Malchem Lachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Then we come to the parasha. In the middle of the parasha, it says, "V'nigdashti betoch bnei Israel." You have to sanctify me betoch bnei Israel. Right? So who is it talking? Al mi medaber? So it's true that we learn from here Dinam of Kedusha. That's why we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh in the Amidah, in the prayer, right? But also, the Chamim tell us over here, Baalei Musar, they all speak about over here, V'nigdashti betoch bnei Israel. The higher level you are in Torah, more responsibility you have towards the nation, the Am. So there's few examples. The Gemara says in Yoma, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, how would I define Chilul Hashem for myself? Rabbi Yochanan is one of the big sommeliers of Torah in Israel, right? He says, what's Chilul Hashem for Rabbi Yochanan? On himself. He says, you know what's Chilul Hashem for him? He says Chilul Hashem for him is to go to the butcher to buy meat and to take on credit. He says, that's Chilul Hashem. What do you mean? Everybody buys on credit. You know, if somebody doesn't buy credit, people have 3, 4, 5, 6 credit cards, right? He says, no, for me to go and not to pay is Chilul Hashem. Or he says over there, another Chilul Hashem for him is to walk Arba Amot Lilot Tfilim. To walk Arba Amot Lilot Tfilim. In the olden days, they used to put Tfilim a whole day. The whole day they would put boker till towards the Shkia, they would take it off. But they walk all day. He says, if I would walk 4 Amot without Tfilim, Chilul Hashem. What do you mean? How many people walk without Tfilim? Why should? Because of the level that he is on, right? For him it's Chilul Hashem. Say Baalei Musar, the same thing, Bnei Torah. If you represent Torah, right? You sit in a yeshiva, Bachur yeshiva, you sit in a kollel man, right? Or you're a rabbi, whatever. You have a responsibility towards the Am. Why? Shelo yichol Hashem al yadcha. Chilul Hashem, the Gemara says in Masechet Yoma, the Gemara says, Rak mita yichola lechaper. Only after you pass away from this world, only then you machul for Hashem. The Gemara says, Avar al mitzvat aseh. Somebody didn't put tefillin in the morning. No, he did. I'm scared now. Okay. When he makes tshuva and he decides to start to put tefillin, mitkaper lo miyad. Right away. He sinned, not put tefillin for 2 years, for 3 years, for 5, for 10, for 15 years, doesn't make a difference. Right away, HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives him. If he does a lav, over a lav, right? He eats not kosher, and he decides to make tshuva. Mechake ad Kippur, he waits till Kippur. Kippur is going to be in a month, in 2, in 3, in 4. Kippur comes, וממשיך בתשובה שלו, he holds down to the tshuva, מתכפר לו מיד, right? But when it comes to Chilul Hashem, right? And then there's certain levels, Avera shesh bakaret, and bakaret, right? So Yisurim. When it comes to Chilul Hashem, you need the Kippur, you need Yisurim, you need Yom HaMitah. So difficult is Chilul Hashem. We have to watch out, right? So because you wear a kippah, because you wear a hat and you have a beard, and because you represent something, you have to be more careful. So they say, one time the Chafetz Chaim was in a meeting and he told everybody, oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave him in the meeting. I have a train to catch. I have to go to another city. I have a very important meeting with rabbis. So everybody says, oh, the Chafetz Chaim, okay, tzedchem leshalom, yelesiyah tova, and everything. So he goes out from the meeting, right? 3 hours later, they see him in town, in Radin. So he says, Kvodo, Rabbi, ma kara? He says, I missed my train. How did you miss your train? You were left on time. He says, no. As I was going out of the meeting, I was turning in the street. Somebody told me they need 1 person from Minyan. So now I had a debate. What do I tell them? I tell them I have a train to catch, and they say, do you see this rabbi? Always they have an excuse. Always the guy run away. Always the, right? And then I said, Chilul Hashem. He says, I prefer to miss the train, not to do Chilul Hashem. I stayed for the minyan, and I missed the train. So now I'm going to have to wait till the night for the next train. You understand? This was the cheshbon of the Gdolim. Always chas v'shalom, shelo yeh Chilul Hashem. Nothing bad should come out of it. So this is a responsible Ben Torah. Ben Torah, always you think, because you're dealing with people which not always understand, sometimes you're right. What do you mean? What do you mean? I have a flight to catch. What is because of him I'm gonna miss my flight. What do you mean? People don't think this way. But the Chafetz Chaim, he was on a level, you understand, everybody looked up to him. He wrote books, V'Shmirat HaLashon, and he was the rabbi of all over the world. They looked up to him. If somebody's going to start saying, do you see those rabbanim? You see how he got away from it? Lo shaveh. It's not worth it. It's worth it to miss the train and not to... So on your level, right, each one on his level, it's sure maybe Adam Pashut, a simple man, maybe for him it's not going to be Chil Hashem. Okay, he was running to do it. Maybe for him, who's going to talk about him? Who's going to... Understand? But on your level, as a Ben Torah, we have to be very, very careful when you're dealing with not frum people, or when you're dealing with people which are frum, but they're not on such a high level. They have different machshafot. Always you have to pay attention what you do. Now, I want to speak with you about one of the things which is really, really noga l'maaseh. Really noga l'maaseh, which is what? Bet HaKnesset, right? Sometimes you come to shul, right? And you see a person which can be a Rav, can be a Tamid Chacham, can be a Kolel man, can be a thing. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the prayer, he takes out his phone, he's looking at it, right? Could be something very important. Could be he's waiting for an answer from but how would people look about it? Understand? Oh, if he looks at the phone in the middle of prayer, he doesn't know what you're looking at. And it could be something very important. Huh?
Somebody
Could be a
got
doctor.
Yeah.
Could be
Could be
a doctor.
a doctor, right? But listen, it can turn into Chil Hashem, right? Also answering Amen. When it comes to things, we always tell people, it's important to answer Amen, but we have to give the example. We have to give the example. So why don't we say the brachot loud? Why don't we answer Amen loud? If people look at us, maybe we'll say for the negative things, what does he do, right? They also look at you for the positive things, right? So when you do that, when they see you conduct in a certain way, right? They also learn from you. So it's a responsibility. When you come to a minyan, you have to teach people. Some people they don't know, right? Some people, you see them in the middle of the thing, he's looking at messages, he's looking at emails, right? You see sometimes people, right? Okay, he can do whatever you have to do tochacha, but the thing is, don't let him learn from you. Never give him you as an excuse, because if somebody's going to come to him and going to tell him, hey, come on, why you look at the phone in the middle of the prayer? I saw this rabbi, and then you are michshol. You're a stumbling block for him. You're an excuse for him. Don't give yourself to be an excuse of somebody else, right? Just the opposite. Kiddush Hashem. What's Kiddush Hashem? You're supposed to behave in a way that people should learn from you, right? So this is one thing. Another thing they say, you're supposed to watch out where you are. Means in the places you go. Sometimes you go to places which are not appropriate. So people are going to look at you. Oh, I saw this rabbi over there, right? Or people say, I saw the rabbi eating in this restaurant, right? And which is, people look for excuses. Don't be yourself the excuse for him, right? You do Kiddush Hashem. Now, they're going to find other excuses, but at least they don't use you as an excuse, right? And this is v'nikdashti betoch bnei Israel. When you're bnei Israel, not with goyim. Goyim is another game ball, right? Goyim is another thing that we have to watch out. They shouldn't think, the Jews, always they want to blame something. The black sheep. The Jews is always the black sheep. Don't give them that, right? Just the opposite. Show them that you're honest, right? Goyim, when they see the honest, they say, Baruch Hashem, look at those Jews, they're honest. Look at the Jews, they're so nice, right? I tell you a story that somebody told me over, a real story. In one of the highways in New York, the highway in New York, the thing is very narrow. The lanes are very narrow, right? But you have 2, 4, and a guy got stuck. A guy got stuck on the highway. Okay, he was trying to move, but he got stuck. And you imagine the thing, right? People try to go on the people don't have time, so they try to. So the guy was wearing a kippah. So a guy passed by, a Jewish guy passed by, so he stopped his car. He says, do you need help? He says, yeah, flat tire, can you help me? Yeah, I'll help you. So where's your spare tire? He goes, he brings the spare tire, and they're trying to put it on. This guy, he bends over, comes out of his t-shirt a big cross. So the guy looks at him, he says, you're Jewish? He says, no. He says, how come you have a kippah? He said, my father told me, if ever you have problem, put a kippah. All the Jews are going to stop to help you. He said, here, you stop.
קידוש השם.
אתה מבין? אבא שלו, הוא ראה קידוש השם, they do in New York, they have חברים over there, they have הצלה over there, instead, זה מה שהוא לימד את הבן שלו, this is what he taught his son, if you ever have a problem, the only Jews are going to come to help you, instead, so he put a kippah, and who stopped on the highway to help him? A Jew, so his father was not wrong. This is Kiddush Hashem in a form. Why? Because this is the goyim, this is how they look at us. Oh, only Jews can help you. Only, business, only Jews are good. Okay. Don't cheat. Don't, be careful. Let them have the good image of the Torah. V'nigdashti betoch bnei Israel. This is our job as Bnei Torah. We're supposed to make sure the balabatim in our synagogues, on the street, in our community, and the goyim also, we always do Kiddush Hashem. Why? V'atem tiyuli mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. Yes, there's kohanim, but you should know you can be on the level of kohen. Somebody who learns Torah, somebody is careful about the way he behaves. V'atem tiyuli mamlechet kohanim. Hashem is addressing to Am Yisrael. He's telling them you can be on the level. You're not kohen, but you can be on the level of kohen. So the same way the kohen has his responsibilities, you can also have the same thing and to be close to Hashem. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen. Amen.